Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. In this video I'm going to show you how to remove an ignition barrel or ignition center. There's one in quite good condition. Obviously on your car you're going to have this big thing here connected to your steering column. So here's your steering column here, and that's your steering lock there. So you'll have this on your car and all the wiring will be back here. Whereas that's probably the best way to see it. So when you're looking at it, you've probably got a piece of plastic around there. All you're going to be able to see is this section here. So let's say, for example, that your key is starting to play up, the springs, or somebody's tried to jimmy it, and you want to replace the barrel, or you want to just do a change combo on your car and you want to replace the barrel. All of these locks do have a way of coming out on most cars, and I'm going to show you that trick right now. So what you'll need to do is remove all the plastic into the state where you can see your ignition like this. Most ignitions have a little tiny hole which will allow you to get the ignition barrel out. This one here is hiding. It's going to take me a second just to find it, and I might even have to remove some of this plastic and stuff to find it, but it will have one. Most of the time they do. Where are you? Where are you? Okay. Alright. Let's take something off and let's find it. Well, actually, you know what? I'll put the Honda one aside. We'll get back to that one in a minute. Ford, for example, when you look at the actual ignition, you've got your off position, first, second and third, and here is the retaining button here. This one here has been, somebody's put a screwdriver or drill through it. So when you've got it turning, you need to turn it to accessories, the first click, and this button will actually press right in. As you can see that's pushing in now. Can you see that? It's out. But when I go to that right position, it actually pushes in, allowing you to slide the barrel out. So that's Ford out of the way. Let's look at another Mazda one. Now the Mazda's identical. It's got the retaining button at the back. So I'll show you what's happening at the back here. See that black button? When I'm using the key in the wrong position, that will not press in. But when it's in the right position, if you watch it, see how it just dropped down and now it can move? That's the position where you can pull your ignition out. So that's on the accessories and it allows it to push down. When it's not on accessories, it can't push down. Alright, so that's a Mazda one. That's off a new Mazda. It's still in good condition. I'm just giving you a quick example. This is a Ford, a Mazda, and this is a Honda one. Now Honda one I'm not entirely familiar with, but I know it's got one. It's got one somewhere, and most of the time I can't get my orientation. That would sit on the ignition like that. Key would go in like that, and that's like my first turn. So that's in the right position, but finding that little hole can be tricky sometimes. And I'm leaning towards maybe it's under this section here. So in this scenario, this would be an undesirable one because you need to remove a screw to get to it. A lot of cars you can simply just take off the little bit of plastic, stick something down the side and scoop the barrel out without doing too much work. But this one, Honda, looks to be not so much fun. And I have lots of ignitions behind me that I could pull out a couple more and go through, but generally speaking the principle remains the same. So if you're a mechanic or something along those lines and you're trying to do it, that might help you out. Okay, so we have a little solenoid and we still have not found our retainer to be able to pull that ignition center out. Let's take a little bit more stuff off here. We don't want to lose anything. All this black plastic will have to come out for the barrel to actually slide out. There is a possibility that this one cannot slide out. That is why I've probably ended up with the whole ignition. This was off a stolen car and they did a change combo on it. And they sold me all the locks, so all their old locks. So if it's one that's non-removable, that would be why. It's been a while since I've worked on a Honda, so let's go through the motions anyway. Okay, so there is our transponder coil that detects the transponder. Little button in here, the white button, something to do with the light, and another little trigger right there as well. Very fine little trigger. Okay, just looking over it now, and this ignition, is that it there? There's a little roll pin right there. That might be it right there. Accessories. Does that push in? No. Most likely that's going to be need to be dug out. That could be the secret with this little Honda. Most cars you don't need to mess around with, like this. This is a rare one. But now it's got me very curious as to if this roll pin is what it should be. Come on out. Maybe I've got some side cutters here. We'll get a grip on it. No, we can't get a grip. Well, Honda, I'm saying, is a fail. That is definitely a moving part, and it is that retainer. Let me get it out. This was an unexpected event, having to pull out this retainer. The actual purpose of the video was to show you where the push-ins were, but unfortunately this particular ignition here wants to give me a bit of a challenge. The only thing I've got to try and dig this little roll pin out with is a flat blade screwdriver, and it's not going so well. Come on, come on. In the olden days we used to have to do a lot of tricks like this to actually get the ignition apart, as far as recoding it, which is a different video altogether. I'll go through some of the tricks on that, but to actually get the ignition out of the car, pulling out a roll pin like this was not really ever part of the plan or part of the job. Like, we never really have to do that. I win the battle. There's my little roll pin, and here comes my ignition center. From there, it's got some little stamp on the side. See the stamp? Zoom it back out. So that's all that was holding it in, that little tiny roll pin in that hole. Never do you normally have to do that. Normally you just push the button, like this one. You just push that button, boom, comes sliding out. So that's a Honda one. Thanks Honda, thanks for the learning lesson. Haven't done one like that in a little while, so nice little refresher. Now I have to get it all back together. I'll push that aside for now because I'll put it back together in a moment. Let me show you a couple more. Toyota Hilux. And I'll round it up on this one because you get the idea. Toyota Hilux, here's the key. Okay, so when you're sitting inside the car, you take your cowling off, you take maybe your transponder ring off, you get your key, you turn it into that accessories position, and here's your button right here, and you just push that down. Most of the time you can do that with a nice L-shaped tool. It's just an Allen key. It goes in, and this will all be in a housing, and you'll be looking for a hole just like that, where this button will be kind of sitting there and protruding. When you turn it, you push it, and you'll be able to slide this straight out. That's the way they work, and that was the moral of the story. We ended up pulling apart a Honda ignition and finding out there's a roll pin, and if you're on a job and you're doing, trying to fix up a Honda ignition, well, at least this roll pin system might kind of work for you. So on the back here, as far as getting all this apart, there should be a way of actually getting it apart and rekeying it. I don't think it'll be too hard, but the problem is I'm going to end up with grease on my hands. There's some sort of tail section here as well. A bit tricky to work that one out. There might be some sort of pin holding it in. Who knows? I mean, Honda I'm not extremely familiar with, I'll be honest. I mean, I've probably rekeyed a few barrels, probably made keys a few times, but as far as pulling this particular ignition apart, no, it's new to me. So I hope you learned something with me. But yeah, moral of the story, most ignitions have this button, and if you do need to get all your locks out, if you can get it to accessories, you're good. If you can't get it to accessories, that's the time when you probably need to take it off the column, take this off, and take it into a locksmith shop, and they'll be able to do it for you. Okay, thanks for watching.